Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Scholastic. We are so thrilled to have you here at this very special event here at headquarters. I'm Lizette Serrano, VP of Educational Marketing, and I'll be your friendly host this evening. Tonight it's all about graphics because, well, we're kicking off our birthday celebrations a little early. Since 2005, we've been on a mission to champion the magic of visual storytelling, seeking out groundbreaking creators, bringing diverse stories full of heart and imagination, and inspiring kids to fall in love with reading. From fan favorites like Dave Pilkey, Raina Telgemeier, Kazuki Buishi, Jeff Smith, Alice Hoffman, to so many other authors, we have brought stories that resonate deeply, ignite creativity, and keep our readers coming back again and again and again. There are graphic novels, and then there's graphics. But tonight's celebration isn't just about a birthday. For 9 years running, we've been the #1 publisher of graphic novels in the United States. And while that's something to cheer about, what really matters is the impact our amazing creators have made, both here in this room and across the country. So let's give them a big round of applause. Now, before we go into the rest of the evening, we have a little surprise. A few of our graphics creators have something special to share. So sit back and enjoy this video to kick off the festivities.
Happy birthday, Graphix. Thank you very much. You've changed my life.
20 years. I can't believe it. You're pretty much a grown up at this point, but still doing what you set out to do from the beginning, which is to bring great graphic novels to kids.
20th anniversary Graphix. I'm honored to have been an author of this imprint since the very beginning. And I find myself fortunate to have seen the careers of so many talented authors and friends blossom into stardom and see their titles in the hands of thousands of readers all over the country.
It's been really amazing to see you guys bring so many wonderful graphic novels to kids, stories I wish I had but wrote down. So it's really awesome to witness that.
I think the world of children's graphic novels has changed and expanded and kind of been created in the last few years. And I'm just really grateful to be a part of it. And I'm really grateful to be at the publisher that I consider the heart of that change.
Happy 20th anniversary. And thank you for letting me be a part of this adventure.
Feeling incredibly fortunate to have my books be a part of this imprint that has just been putting up superlative graphic novels and graphic memoirs for young readers for 2 decades now.
When I was beginning teaching, there were hardly any graphic novels available for kids. And now, just look at what's available.
Now there are so many other graphic novels on the shelves, so many things for readers to discover.
Scholastic has really transformed the comics landscape.
I'm so excited that I get to be a part of history in the making, you guys.
What I love about Graphix is it's truly a family, and I've made so many amazing friends there.
Happy 20th anniversary, Graphix. Thanks so much for bringing us so many cool graphic novels.
Wishing Scholastic Graphix a very happy birthday. Hope you're having a sunny kind of day.
Happy anniversary.
Happy birthday.
Happy 20th, Graphix. Can't wait to see you in the next one.
Happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday. Here's to 20 more years and many more after that.
Happy birthday, dear Graphix. Happy birthday to you.
Community of artists on our list, which included a few here tonight. So let's welcome to the stage. Get ready to embark on a journey beyond the stars with Samual Sattin, the Eisner-nominated author breathing new life into a beloved classic. Known for his captivating storytelling of works like Buzzing and Side Quest, Samuel has not teamed up with legendary Tazaka Productions to reimagine the timeless tale of Yuniko. With stunning visuals by the Eisner-winning award duo Guru Hero, Yuniko Awakening is a breathtaking reboot that blends heart, adventure, and magic. So buckle up and give a warm welcome to Samuel Sattin. Get ready to meet Jamar Nichols, an award-winning artist and educator whose work inspires young readers to embrace the power of cartooning and kindness. His debut, Beyond the Extraordinary, is filled with relatable characters, bombastic battle sequences, and lots of heart and humor. This joyful series reminds readers that when it comes to being a hero, you just need to remind yourself to believe in yourself. Now in the eagerly anticipated sequel, Worst Friends Forever, Leon faces his biggest challenge yet, a super ego and a super secret. Let's welcome Jamar, who spills the tea, and welcome to the stage. Next up is Gale Gallagan, the talented creator behind 4 New York Times bestselling Babysitter's Club graphic novel adaptations. Gale's graphic novel debut Freestyle earned 4-star reviews and spots on numerous Best of the Year lists. This January, we're thrilled to publish their next graphic novel, Fresh Start. In their first star review, Kirkus calls it this exaggerated manga-inspired illustrations and impeccable comedic timing creates a pitch-perfect portrayal of the indolent highs and modifying lows of middle school, end quote. In addition to their talents, Gale is also a founding member of the Comics Advocacy Group, which is dedicated to making careers in comics more accessible. Let's give it up for Gale Gallagan. Our next creator is one affectionately by her readers, which is one name, Raina. A testament to the deep connection she shares with her audience. Her stories, which expose emotions like anxiety, loneliness, and embarrassment, resonate with young people in ways that reassure them it's going to be okay. From her graphic memoir, Smiles, Sisters, and Guts, based on her childhood to adaptations of the Babysitter's Club, she has become a #1 best-selling author and multiple Eisner Award-winning creator. Recently, she celebrated her first art exposition titled Facing Feelings, the Art of Raina Telgemeier, at the Ohio State University Billy Ireland Cartoon Library and Museum. Through her art and story, Raina continues to offer a guiding light. Please welcome Raina Telgemeier. Scott McCloud, who I can't believe is here, is not one time author of Understanding Comics, Making Comics, The Sculptor, and many other influential works. A leading and respectful voice in the field, he has presented lectures on visual communication and created international 24-hour comic movement. In 2021, he was inducted into the Will Eisner Award Hall of Fame. His insights resonate not only with comic creators and fans, but also with anyone eager to enhance the understanding of visual storytelling. Scott's passion for the art form and his dedication to fostering creativity has made him a true luminary in the world of comics. Please welcome Scott freaking McCloud. To recap that together, Raina and Scott are teaming up to bring the Cartoonist Club that will blend narrative and comics and magic to showcase the power of storytelling and inspire a new generation of cartoonists. All right, now we get cozy. Now we get cozy in our graphics living room here. Hi, guys. Hi, first up is Samuel. Hi.
Hey.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to be here.
So, Samuel, some critics might say it takes an awful lot of guts, or I would say courage and passion to attempt to make remake a comic by Tezuka. After all, he's known as the god of manga, right? Can you share what inspired your imagining of this beloved classic and what elements of the original story were most important for you to preserve or transform?
Yeah, sure. Osamu Tezuka is definitely considered the god of manga, and he's kind of a monolith in terms of his position in the creation of not just, some, modern manga, but the modern manga and anime industry as a whole, which is, nothing else would exist without him in terms of that medium. And so, it's definitely a huge trying to be able to work with this material, which, as you can see, this is kind of the original, some of the original Unico work that was done by Tezuka. He created Unico originally to read, to kind of break into American comics in a sense, where he brought the story here in 1976 in partnership with Sanrio, and it was made from left to right, and it was brought in full color. And I just found Tezuka's work so incredibly inspiring, and it made me fall even deeper in love with comics in general. I've always been a huge manga fan, and I've always, loved what the anime ever since I was young. But really, Tezuka showed me so much about not just manga, but also comics. And so when I got the chance to try to pitch an idea to work with Tezuka Productions in Tokyo, I jumped at it not thinking that they would respond at all, or they would maybe, what kind of idea it would be. It's made, wasn't sure if they would say anything that was positive about it. And then they decided they really loved the idea of me wanting to work with this character, Unico. Unico inspired me because I think he is a complex character and, deceptively complex. He's a character who has lost his memory, but simply does good because it's the right thing to do. No matter how many times he goes through this cycle of forgetfulness or is being chased across, by different things that are trying to destroy him, he continues to do the right thing because it's just the right thing to do. And there's so much humanity in the character, and it's one of those that I just didn't want to be forgotten. I felt like it really could have something legitimately important to impart to a new generation of readers. So that's why I decided to try to work on this project, and Tezuka Productions thankfully has been really happy with what we've been doing.
And you and the entire team are doing a phenomenal job. It's incredible. Well, we're follow up. Book 2 is on the corner. It's set to release next June, which is really exciting. It's called The Hunted. As you can see, it's an awesome cover. Without giving too much away, what can we expect in the next chapter, and how will the story and characters evolve in the next installment?
The next chapter, basically, the first chapter was kind of setting the stage for Unico being hunted through time through time and space by a vengeful goddess, and and her minions. Book 2 kind of takes it to kind of opens up the entire world in a different way, and kind of in this book, Unico comes across a young girl named Chico in a city where life has been expunged by a really evil machine, and except that thinks it's Chico's mother. And so Unico has to try to dismantle that situation while also being hunted by a new minion of Venus who is far stronger and more dangerous than any before. So that's the plot of Unico Hunted. And also, just real quickly, I wanted to, because I didn't say it before, I wanted to talk about just real quickly how Gurihiru's art and then as an art team is part of what actually made this project come together. Because without this being a collaborative project between the US and Japan, and between myself and Gurihiru and Tezuka Productions and Scholastic, it really does take on the form of a truly collaborative project. It's not just something that I want to do, it's something we all want to do. And we put our heart into it as a result.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Jamar Nichols, or it's actually called Dapper Dan.
I had a Dapper Dan doll when I was a kid.
You did?
Yeah, it helped me dress as a kid.
I knew it. So the first book, Leo the Extraordinary, is a solid action-filled comedy with a crucial message. Can you talk about inspiration for Leon's journey and how you balance the action scenes and the core themes of the story?
Well, one of the coolest things about working on Leon and trying to take a superhero story and then kind of knock the superhero part out was a very fun challenge for me, because these books aren't really about superpowers, they're about people, and they're about kids going through kid things. And I try to put a lot into Leon's character that is very relatable to kids. My elevator pitch for Leon is he uses common sense as a superpower. And I usually get a really great eyebrow raise from the families. Did you hear what he said? He said common sense. Yeah, Mom, I know. I heard you. And that's worked really well so far. But really, it's a story about kids just trying to fit in and also make good choices. That's the biggest thing that I want to put into this. And having kids already get to work and find themselves in the pages is really, really fantastic to me.
Absolutely. I know Leon also wonders about his place in the world and how to make a positive difference. and his mom was always there to support him, which I love the relationship. You know, speaking of seeing yourself, seeing, you know, children of color, have good relationships with their parents, but his mom, because I'm a mom of 2 boys, so has a little bit, you know, birthdays to do as well. So can you talk about their straight relationship and what it means, like, telling on each other?
Yeah, so also a lot of kids along the way have asked me, like, are you Leon? But Leon shares a lot of things with me, and maybe the spine of all of these books is a story of a kid growing up with a mother.
Yeah.
So, and that was my story growing up with my mother. It was just her and myself against the world. So I really wanted to celebrate that in the books, and also in the extraordinary, you find out a really cool secret about Leon's mom when he finds out that his world was a lot bigger than he thought it was. But what's on the screen right now, and these are some scenes from Worst Friends Forever, and all of the books I try to put at least a couple of scenes where Leon and his mom are just sharing a moment. And growing up with my mother, a lot of those moments happened in the kitchen. They happened in the living room while she was tired from work and watching television. And in this scene, she's twisting his hair, which is a really great scene to me, and a lot of great bonding comes from those moments, just tender moments. And I wanted to make sure that those came across in the book, even for people who are like, why? How does his hair get like that? Well, you have to actually work on it. And this is how it's fun. It keeps his hair looking fresh. So I'm really glad I can add those kind of tender moments to the story.
They're beautiful. Thank you for incorporating them. Well, we're seeing some scenes from the next book, so I want to talk a little bit about that. So his latest adventure, Worst Friends Forever. So how's this book going to push Leon as a character and being a normal kid and also a hero?
Well, spoiler alert, for an extraordinary, Leon saves the day. I hope that doesn't mess anybody up there. So the crux of Worst Friends Forever is what happens when you save the day and you get everything you want. Leon is having a problem dealing with the fame, and it's all in his head. So he kind of comes back to school as a super jerk, and he's really acting out of character, and he's running afoul of his friends. So a big ley line of this book is about friendship and what does it mean to be a friend, and also what does it mean to have friends, and when those things are tested, especially at that age, like how do you come out of it? So I'm very proud of this book, and I think there's a lot of great themes in it.
We're proud of you too on this book. Thank you. All right, on to Gale Gallagan. Hi, Gale. Hello. So Freestyle marked your first graphic novel created independently after adapting and working on Babysitter's Club. What was it like stepping into this new role on your own? And how did the experience differ from working on Babysitter's Club's books?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Yeah. I still remember I started on the Babysitter's Club with book 5 right after Raina. So that in itself was a terrifying experience. Fill these shoes, Gale. Don't worry about it. So like I deeply remember that pressure, but also the trust, knowing that like people believed that I could meant a lot. And it was so exciting to get to play in that playground with these characters I loved so much as a kid. And that honestly like was such an incredible learning experience for me as my first four graphic novels. Like getting to really study like Anna Murray's story structure, figure out how I wanted to make books, and practice over. As it turns out, if you draw like 800 pages of comics, you will improve. Surprise. But it really helped a lot, so that when it was finally time for me to start work on my first original graphic novel, I kind of had that sense memory. I was ready. I was also honestly terrified in a different way. Like people already like the Babysitter's Club. I already like the Babysitter's Club. Please follow me on a b-boy yo-yo journey. Big ass. But I'm also really glad I got to do it as my first original book. I feel that it was extremely me. Basically, in short form, I fell in love with b-boying in my early 20s, tried to do it, realized I could not. Done. Thank you. And then sometime around 2015, I found out that there were international yo-yo competitions. Incredible art and craft. I know. YouTube is an amazing resource. As it turns out, like there are these people putting together whole routines, throwing the yo-yos behind their legs, like over their heads, laying yo-yo on the string in time to the music, kind of like a dance. So fun facts about me. I love High School Musical. I love sports anime. I love Step Up. And all of these things, I thought they could be a story together. Additionally, I bought a yo-yo, tried to yo-yo, hit my face and said, I also cannot yo-yo. Let's draw everything vicariously. This was my journey. So I had a lot of fun. I really tried to just make it as me as I could. And I think that's my goal moving forward as well. I hope someone here also excites my musical. Thank you.
Well, your next, I'm sorry, I'm like, I'm laughing. It's not so much. It's so funny. So we have the next book coming up, our start next spring. What can we expect? And good segue. How is it built on your incredible humor and heart that you infuse into your books?
You are too kind. Thank you so much. So I mentioned being scared of the Babysitters Club and scared of freestyle. This one is scary in a new way because it is a very personal story. As a child, I moved around a lot and I absolutely loved it because anytime something embarrassing happened, like I would hit the bricks. I never had to see any of those guys dead. Friendships ended, moving across the country. It's fine, whatever. But then my family moved back to the United States for the first time since kindergarten, and they said, guess what? We're living in Northern Virginia now forever. Just in time for middle school, the most notoriously chill time. So this is the story of Ollie, who is not me, but you know, has some experiences very similar to mine. All of a sudden, Ollie has to learn all 50 of your American states. We're counting. We can do capitals, we can do states, we can do inches, feet, yards. It was a whole journey. So this is a story of a child who is in very, very deep, struggling a lot, and then realizing that it is really hard to actually keep friends at a tender age. In terms of like infusing like humor and joy into that, that is my default response to stress. I absolutely love finding ways to balance like a lot of different feelings. Like if I want to tell you something very tender and true about my perspective of the world, like friendship is beautiful and amazing, but it hits a lot harder if I make you laugh first. And I truly hope that that is part of your experience reading this book.
Raina and Scott, hello. So collaborating on the Cartoonist Club sounds like an ambitious yet fun and incredible partnership. Can you share what was the creative process was like working together and how did you combine unique styles and perspectives into the book?
Large question. Should I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've known who Scott was since I was a teenager who read Understanding Comics, and then we became friends at some point after my work was published. And since then, it was probably 20 years ago, I've been like, it would be so nice if a book like Understanding Comics existed for a slightly younger readership, aka my readership. Because those kids ask me all the time, how do you make comics? How do you start? Do you do the words first or the pictures first? What do you combine? Like what happens in between the panels? And it's like all of this information is available to you, but it's maybe better for like a college student who's anyway. So I asked Scott, would you like to make a book with me? And Scott had to think about it for a second, but your family was with you at the time and they were like, the answer is yes, regardless of his not sure about this idea. But quickly it gelled and we went kind of insane just making it happen in a good way. Yeah. And what you're seeing on the screen, a little bit of it is processed. This is because the two of us actually wrote it together and we drew it together. And who drew which panel, it's not always easy to tell. But those of you that know Scott's work can probably figure some of it out. And this was the first time that I did partial artwork, but I also worked with Scott on some of the art, and I also worked with an inker. So the inking and the coloring are not mine. And then anything the kids draw is Scott's work. So he drew as all 4 characters in the story. So it is so hard to give an elevator pitch for this book, except take a smile, take understanding comics, pretend they came from the same brain, but what brain it is. So it took us almost 4 years to make it happen.
4? Oh, I've been saying 3.
It was
Might have been 4. Yeah.
It was 2019 when I suggested it to you, and then 2020 when we started working on it. It's 2024. I know.
I'm a pretty slow clock with all my books, I guess, but yeah. Yeah, and I should say that it was actually at a Scholastic party that Raina had suggested this idea. And it's true, my family was there and they were like, "You're gonna do this." And I was like, "Yeah, I probably should, but you know, I gotta do all these other things first." But yeah, when we finally started working on it. And it was so exciting because part of the thing is when you put something out into the world, you know, it's really great if people like it, but what you really hope is that after it exists, everybody is like looking back and it's like, remember when that didn't exist and there was a big sucking hole in the world? This book had to exist. We had to reach out to these kids and talk about the kind of things that I got to talk about in my comics books for older people. And when we started working together, you know, we kind of knew how we were going to do it. And at the very beginning, the natural idea was we had sort of come up with this premise where Raina and I were visiting a friend of Raina's. Yeah, this is one of the pictures from the original proposal, who was like a library media specialist. And suddenly we find ourselves teaching comics to a bunch of kids. And it kind of worked. We weren't sure, but we did the whole draft. We were doing, when we say we did a draft, we mean we did it in layouts form, but you know, like a lot of the stuff was in there, all the words, all the pictures. We like to read our comics before we draw them, right? So the whole thing was kind of sitting there. It was feeling a little teachy. And then all of us sort of editorially together, but you especially, you had the instinct, no, wait. How about if Raina and Scott have nothing to do with this? They're not in the book at all. And the kids have to find out all this stuff on their own. And that's, I think, when the magic really
with their library media special.
Yes, well, yeah. There is still the adult who gets to teach certain things. You can see her in some of the panels. But a lot of it is just that voyage of discovery. And that's when, as I was trying to learn from Raina how to do this book, just as she, when she was younger, had learned stuff from me, that's when both of us started learning from the kids. And that's when they sort of taught us what the story was all about all along. And the story took on a life of its own. And through 3 drafts, it became much more integrated and seamless and just all of a piece, so that I think the two of us almost kind of melted into it. And that's why now, even when we're looking at it, we might forget sometimes who wrote or drew which part of it.
Well, you did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much. I have a follow-up question. So you're going to inspire a generation of cartoonists, no doubt. And I feel like David or our graphic artist will be probably publishing some maybe future of these artists who read this book will be inspired by it. So can you talk a little bit about, in terms of storytelling, the power of comics, how these characters express their creativity? What do you hope we just take away from that or learn?
Well, one of the things we try to get across right away is that making mistakes is good. It's part of the process. That you know, you don't have to chase perfection, but you should have fun with it all and try out new things. We even talk about failure as like that's, you know, every success is like a whole bunch of failures that lead to success at the end. But I think probably the biggest message that I found myself coming back to again and again, and you did too, was that there's no one path to creativity. And each of the 4 kids you see here on the cover, each of them follows their own path. They're on this journey together. It's about friendship, but it's also about the fact that there's no one right way to tell a story, to make art. There are different passions that people have, and this is them discovering their own road, their own path. And maybe they're chasing after beauty and perfection. Maybe they're chasing after ideas and innovation and creativity. Maybe they're chasing after just something that makes you laugh or something that feels more honest. You know, there are all different ways to be an artist. And so we get to show each of those roads.
I think if there's one thing I hope for, it's that kids will see themselves in the characters, but also it's like, it's not necessarily about how to make comics, it's about how to think about making comics, which are two really distinctive things. And I think that's like the essence of what Scott has been so good at over the years. And I'm just excited to meet kids in the future who are like, I made a comic after reading this book, and this is my idea, and this is my way of telling the story. It's like, I want to hear what they have to say. Yeah. You know, so just hoping that we can inspire them and help them get there.
And then as we're celebrating 20 years of graphics too, you know, I think back to what it was like 20 years ago, and when all of this was beginning, when kids were still sitting cross-legged on the floor at their local bookstores and reading manga and things like that. You know, we were anticipating what all this would lead to. And it's all about creating baby readers that, you know, you've created literally millions of baby readers, you know, sending things out there that have generational echoes that come back, you know, as a new generation of readers, but also a new generation of creators down the road. And that's how you grow an industry. It's not a zero-sum game, but we have so much growing still to do.
We do. Speaking of which, thank you. Those are really profound insights. Thank you. So, some of you had known for a very long time. Some of you met the first time today, and if you guys met at San Diego Comic-Con in terms of Exceptional Cartoonist Club. Can you guys talk about the community of graphics in particular, and being part of this 20 years, or just starting out? And what's it been like? How's that community been? Even working in Scholastic team, or working with each other, how's that influenced your work or developed some of your stories, etc.? Can you talk about it a little bit?
I mean, every person on this stage is a friend, which is pretty incredible. Some I've known for a couple of decades, some I've known for about a decade. What's particularly special about this one sitting next to me, Gale was once my art assistant, because Gale was a very eager animation student at NYU, and we lived like 4 blocks from each other, and you came up to me at a thing and you were like, "Hi, I'm Gale. I would love to work with you." And I was like, "Okay." And so you did. If you look at the credits of drama, there's Gale as my assistant then. And then many years went by. Gale went on and got like a degree. I finished the Babysitters Club. I started Smile and everything else. And Cassandra calls me up one day and says, "Hey, we're thinking of starting a new BSC like book series after the ones that you have done. What do you think of this artist named Gale Gallagan for the one after yours?" And I was like, "What, little Gale?" So I don't know. And now the joke with the BSC is like, I call it the siblinghood of the traveling pants, because I feel like that about all of you. And like, we're all like friends, and we've all become like kind of a siblinghood of creators together. And it's just like passing a torch, but then like the torch comes back in friendship. And, and it's beautiful. So I could say like a story like that about each of you, but I'm just gonna use that one as the one that I've spoken about.
That's beautiful. Yeah, we are all in this together. And like on my side, like honestly, you know, I had been drawing comics for fun my whole life. I was in an animation school because I had made that connection. Like, people make comics, there are people making these comics. What? But I picked Smile up in a bookstore, fell in love, found your live journal, and found out you were looking for an assistant. And it was the first time I got to meet a cartoonist doing the job and realized this was something people do. This was something you do. This is what your life can look like. And like you give that back, by the way. So, yeah. No. But it, you know, like you never know whose life you are going to change in that way. And I really appreciate that, you know?
I do know.
You know?
my heart is so full right now. I can't even explain. I think there's something really important about a community of cartoonists. And we'll just talk about that for a second. When we all are kind of unicorns in our own way. See what I did there? Where kind of like, the lifestyle we lead as someone who's hunched over a drafting table for like several hours a day, every day of the week. There's not a lot of people you can commiserate with. And then as you kind of pick up along the way, people who are doing what you're doing, or even in the same space that you are, maybe people who are a little ahead of you, you want to kind of like climb one of them and lock onto them. And just being a big part of graphics and kind of bouncing off people who I've known for a long time, like Kazu, and I've known each other for a really long time, and Raina, and I go back, and my Scholastic cousin, energy. It's so paramount to the creative process, and even like socially and emotionally, to have basically your peers, your patriots right there with you. And we all know how this works, and that's also makes it even a smaller community. Because even like coming from comic book world, they don't graphics, what I mean? We graphics, So like just having these kindred spirits in my corner just makes me, I think, a stronger creator.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being with graphics has been the most welcoming experience I've had as a writer and as an artist, a working artist my entire life. Everyone here has been so, just so open. The doors have been open in such a wonderful way, and it's encouraged kind of camaraderie I've never experienced before in publishing world, at least. And as, and I just to speak what you're saying about community. I mean, that's pretty much what's kept me able to be doing this for such a long period of time, because it is such a solitary practice in so many different ways. So you have to build relationships with people who think and act and kind of have a similar lifestyle in that way that you do. And actually, so that's why I actually met Raina at a comics camp, a cartoonist camp, with a bunch of people.
And Sam on a camping trip.
Yeah, a camping trip. Yeah, we went with a bunch of cartoonists to the woods. And,
No one died.
no one died that we know of, and yeah, it was an incredible experience where people felt the ability to be able to reach out to other like-minded individuals and form bonds. And I think that's something that's just really necessary among people who do this thing. We need to reach out to each other.
Yeah, that sense of community, it is so important to us, as it is exactly what both of you were saying, that we are hunched over that drawing table. I mean, like during the pandemic, people were saying that, cartoonists invented social distancing, and it's, but now we have something bigger than that, because we have, I call it generational continuity. This is a little new in this period, that each successive generation of comics is talking to each other in a way that wasn't necessarily true when I was starting out. Will Eisner would always talk about how comics had to die and then be reborn like 10 years later repeatedly throughout the early 20th century. We would have these big mass extinctions. We haven't had one in a while, hopefully. We don't know what's going to happen in 3 weeks, but so far so good. But yeah, you're seeing these different generations. Like I had a student come up to me a few years ago in the Midwest and introduced a bunch of these young kids making comics. She was my student, they were her students. And she said, "Scott, these are your grand students." That's what we all are. We're grand students. You're starting to see it already, and you're a lot younger than me. We are passing down the knowledge, but we're also still in the game. It's a multi-generational family, in this house that you guys have built so much of. And I really hope it keeps going like that, because that's what every art form needs, is to have, so many minds all finding something together.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a varsity jacket, you know, it says "We Graphic" on the back. Well, speaking of growth and like what's to come, and community, I'm thrilled to welcome my colleague and very dear friend, the gentleman who leads this incredible team and steers the graphic imprint, publisher David Sandler. Hello, my dear. Welcome to the living room.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
All right, Dave, you're gonna give us a sneak peek ahead for 2025. There's some treasures to reveal.
We definitely have some treasures to reveal. So, some returning favorites. We have Cat Fajardo with Miss Camper, which is going to be an incredible book. And you can see there's a lot of chaos going on in this camp. There's going to be a paperback edition of The Arrival in a smaller trim size, which is going to be really, really beautiful. And guess what? Graphix is doing manga. What? That is crazy. Okay, so these two books, we're doing Mecha Ude, 4-volume series. The series is in full color throughout, which is brilliant. And it's about this mechanical arm that attaches itself to this kid. And there's a lot of people that want this incredible technology and they're doing anything to get it. And this kid is the one who's going to save it from the evil of the universe. And then in a very different vein, we have A Card in the Light about a young girl who is a singer. She's someone who sings in the shower. She sings in the bathhouse, a traditional bathhouse in Japan. And she is encouraged to join the singing competition, to be in an all-girls singing group. And will she make it? We'll see. At volume 4. And we have some new authors in the new series. Wish I Was a Baller is an incredible book about a young boy who's discovering his love of basketball and gets to meet Shaquille O'Neal at some point. Real Life by Kate Lynch, which is a story about divorce and about how he managed to get through his parents' divorce and how he decided to make a movie and a documentary interviewing his split parents about why this actually happened. And it's sort of a departure us. There's a Diary of a Nature Nerd, which is by Tiffany Everett, and it's about a young girl who is in a blended family, and they're traveling across the country, stopping at national parks, and she loves nature and is on the lookout for keeping track of all the incredible things that she wants to see in nature. Sea Legs is a debut as well by Jewel Bakes and Nikki Smith, and it's about, if you ever wanted to know what it was like to grow up on a boat traveling from island to island in the Caribbean and what it's like to make friends or to have a school life or anything out of life. This is an amazing book. And next we have Staffy the One-Eyed Cat, which is a webtoons book, which has 650,000 readers and over 150 million views on webtoons, which is unbelievable. And how cute is that cat? Oh my gosh.
Thank you. So David, we're gonna go back in time. It's 2005, and we're about to publish the phenomenal Bone, the kick off the Bone series by the legendary Jeff Smith. So
Jeff Smith is legendary, indeed.
He is.
Brilliant.
So tell us about the impact that decision made in the imprint publishing Bone, and the direction of the imprint. Can you talk a little about Bone and impact?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to show you can look at these beautiful new covers of Bone, and if you'll notice, all the spines together create this incredible image. So for collectors out there, you're going to love having this new set for 2024 and 2025. And all of the covers are in brilliant color. The logos are in different colors, and it looks fantastic. So I have to say that the best decision I think that we may have made when we founded Graphix in 2005 was to publish Bone. Not only because it's a classic, it's the Lord of the Rings of comics, is how I think of it, but also because I got to meet Jeff Smith, who is an incredibly brilliant artist, comic creator,
His timing, his artwork, his storytelling is impeccable. And it became the centerpiece for the Graphix imprint in terms of what we wanted to do, the kind of storytelling we wanted to publish. And I always kept it as sort of a standard of the kind of books that we want to do, the kind of storytelling and excellence that we want to present to kids, so that once they read these books, they're going to be hooked for life and they're going to remember these books for the rest of their life. And another thing that was incredible, besides just becoming friends with Jeff over the years, which has been a beautiful friendship, but also he was incredibly generous in terms of just breaking down barriers. You know, when we started Graphix, we have to remember that there was no shelf space in bookstores. There weren't any really graphic novels for kids. And there were a lot of comics creators who were wary of a big publisher like Scholastic sort of coming in and saying, we're going to be doing comics. And I know that a lot of comic creators were like, well, they don't know what they're doing. They've never created comics before. You know, they're not DC, they're not Marvel. Who are they? You know, why are they doing this? And so Jeff sort of saying, you know something, Graphix knows what they're doing. I know David. I know that, you know, the editorial team. He just sort of gave us that feeling that yes, people would want to publish with Graphix because Jeff opened the doors for all of us. So I have to give him enormous credit. And Bone, of course, was an incredible success when it came out, and it proved that if kids could find Bone or find graphic novels in bookstores or through the book fairs or the book clubs, they would buy them, and they would buy them in droves, and they would embrace them and love them.
Yes, and you did it.
We did it.
Set the bar. We did it. So let's trivia question for the audience with a prize. Can anyone name the trio of Bone's cousins from book one? Oh, you, sir. Can you grab that mic? There's a mic, I think, right there, if we can hear you.
There's 3 or 4 of them, right? 3.
Oh my God, are you Jeff Smith?
I can't tell you how much I love everybody on this stage. I'm gonna take my way, I hug them all. Scott and I have known each other many years. And we are. Two brothers.
Come and join us. So Jeff, I think, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. Well, it was in this building, you actually held a meeting to come bring Bone to Graphix. So thank you. Here we are 20 years later, looking as fresh and daisy we did back then. I've been here for over 20 years too. So we have.
You and Cassandra, who's at the front row here. These 3 people did this. I mean, Scott and I and Raina have talked about this since the 90s. And these 3 idiots did it. They're not idiots. These are the smartest people I've ever met.
So David did say lovely things that are all true about you with this series. Can you talk about the Graphix imprint and what it, this last 20 years, you've said some incredible things over the years, but I would love you to kind of talk about the impact.
Well, obviously on a personal level, it changed my life because suddenly I went from only selling comics at comic book stores to mainlining my comics right into elementary schools, and kids loved it. But when I started Bone, there were only 30, 40-year-old guys in comic book stores. So I was in love with the Donald Duck Uncle Scrooge comics that were drawn by this guy named Carl Barks. And I loved Peanuts by Schultz. I loved Peanuts, whatever, Schultz. Pogo is what I was trying to say, by Walt Kelly. And I just tried to make something that would be recognizable to people like me that understood comics, got comics, were comic heads. And that they would see this book and get it. Now, when I started doing it, I thought a lot more people would like it, but there's a lot more people who just like Batman and Superman and those. I get it, X-Men, but somehow this kid started to read my comics, and I remember my wife, Jay, and I. She's my partner. We came to New York in the early 2000s and tried to show Bone to people because we thought maybe this could be read by a bigger audience. And we even visited Scholastic. We didn't see you. You and I would have hit it off right away. But nobody was really interested. In fact, we had I think HarperCollins. I probably should. But they were very cool. They were cool. They weren't bad. But one of their suggestions was, "Oh, how about if there's like a page of text and a page of comics or an illustration?" I said, "That's a big little book. That's a big little book. We're not doing big little books. We're doing graphic novels." So nothing really happened. That was in the early 2000s. But then somehow, my understanding is that librarians contacted your company and said, "You've got to publish this book." Librarians. I have good stories about librarians going back to when I was like in the second grade. I won't tell them all tonight. But it is exactly what needed to happen. It needed to a real public. And you were like in the middle of Harry Potter, so you had like muscle, and you wanted to do comics. I was like, hell yeah! These idiots are going to break themselves for us. And they did, and you did it, and you followed up Bone with Raina, with Kazuki Noishi, and on and on and on, and it's just become a monster. I can't even believe it. I'm so proud to be part of this family. I really love you guys.
Well, we're proud of you too. We're proud of you too. Thank you for that. Well, let's talk about Bone, your baby. I mean, it's been here for more than 20 years and will be here beyond. Like as David mentioned, Lord of the Rings, it is that epic. It has something for everyone. What can you say in terms of the longevity, the legacy of this character and this world that really you find the comic head, I like that term too, that resonate with these books so deeply? Like what kind of
I think it's because I was working in comics, which were only sold in hobby shops. And everyone that shopped in the hobby shops was like me, like a grown man. Because there weren't too many kids. There were kids, there were women, but not too many. It was definitely a market of like 40-year-old guys. So I was doing my love of Karl Barks and Walt Kelly. I was doing Pogo, meaning Pogo and Uncle Scrooge, and The Lord of the Rings. But I was trying to write it so that adults would like it, so that I would like it. I had to be interested in it. I wasn't interested in writing an adult children's story. But somehow over the years, it took like 13 years to tell the story of Bone in the world of comics before Scholastic got involved. But during that decade plus, guys were coming in. A few years later, they were coming in with their girlfriends. Later, they came in with their kids. And the kids are reading Bone. And I watched this happen over those years. And then when Scholastic called and said they wanted to start this imprint for mid-level readers, beginning to mid-level, and launching Bone, it made sense to me. I mean, it wasn't my plan. I didn't write. Maybe one of the things that why it worked is I didn't write it for kids. So there are some things in there that are on the edge of something. Not really. Nobody cusses. There's no boobs. I believe Ed wanted to draw boobs, but I didn't do it. Because I was trying to say, what could Karl Barks have done in Disney? Boobs were off the list. And I wasn't doing it for anybody except I just had a make believe garden. And so it just kind of worked.
It works. Wow. Thank you. And this is the whole spine, the whole view, the issues are beautiful. So I'm glad more kids, more adults, more.
I do love the new spot. I like that.
It
That's
looks
very
incredible. Very
I,
cool.
I saw this just last weekend. I was in Houston at a comic book show. And somebody came in and they had all the first 9. I was like, whoa. And of course, everybody gathered around. We stacked them up and looked at it. We thought that's cool. And somebody came over with the last 3.
Yeah.
And it which had the bad guys on it. Okay? Everybody went, oh.
That was fast. Wow. Oh my God. Can we get a round of applause for Jeff? Are you happy for more? Because guess what? We're gonna go party. We have food, cotton candy, burgers.